What would you do if every time you slept with someone in your dreams, your life became better in reality? Boma found out the hard way. Welcome to Tales at Dusk, the archive of rich African tales. Boma lived where the river never slept. In Sagbama, Bayelsa, houses did not always stand on land. Some floated on stubborn wooden legs driven deep into the riverbed. Boma's home was one of them. A small plank house, old and tired, creaking each night as water slapped against its sides. When the wind blew, the house groaned like it was complaining about its own life. Boma was in his mid-30s, but life had aged him faster. He was a fisherman like his father before him, and his father's father before that. Every morning before sunrise, he pushed his narrow wooden boat into the creek and cast his nets with quiet hope. Every evening he returned with little or nothing, some days only 2 small fish, some days none at all. Life was hard, painfully hard. Money avoided Boma like it knew his name. He wore the same faded clothes for years, his roof leaked. Hunger visited often and stayed long. In the village, people greeted him with pity or silence. Women barely looked his way. When they did, it was with polite smiles that meant no interest at all. Boma is a good man, they would say, but never. Boma is the man I want. He tried. God knew he tried. He spoke to women. He dreamed of marriage. He imagined a home filled with laughter. But reality always slapped him awake. Without money, without success, love felt like a language he was never taught. After many rejections, something in Boma broke quietly. He stopped trying. He stopped hoping. He accepted his lonely life the way one accepts bad weather, with resignation. He focused on fishing, on surviving, on passing each day without expectation. Nights became the hardest. The river was loud then. The darkness pressed in. His thoughts became heavy. That was when the dreams started. At first, they were gentle. In his sleep, Boma saw himself pulling heavy nets filled with shining fish, bigger than any he had ever caught. People praised him. Buyers rushed to him. Money filled his hands. Then the other dreams came. In those dreams, a woman visited him. She was beautiful, calm, warm. She looked at him like he mattered, like he was enough. When she touched him, the touch felt real. When they made love, it felt complete, deep, fulfilled. When Boma woke up, his heart was light, his body relaxed. For the first time in years, he felt satisfied. Soon Boma began to look forward to sleep more than morning. Reality was cruel. Dreams were kind, and slowly, without knowing it, Boma started living more in the night than in the day. Something was watching him. Something had noticed his loneliness, and it was only the beginning. Each night, after a long day on the river, he lay on his thin mat and waited for darkness to carry him away. The sound of water under his house no longer frightened him. It lulled him. The moment his eyes closed, the real world faded, and another life opened. In his dreams, Boma was no longer unlucky. He cast his net once and pulled it up heavy with fish. Silver bodies thrashed and shone in the moonlight. People called his name with respect. Buyers begged him to sell to them. Money changed hands easily. His pockets were never empty. When he woke from those dreams, the feeling stayed. His chest felt full, his mind calm. Even hunger did not bite as hard. Then there were the other dreams. The woman returned often now. Always gentle, always familiar, though Boma could never remember when he first met her. She came without knocking, without questions, without demands. She did not ask him for money. She did not complain about his house or his clothes. She simply stayed. When she touched him, it felt warm, real. When they made love, Boma felt a pleasure he had never known in his waking life. It was not rushed. It was not empty. It was deep, consuming, and complete. When he woke, his body still remembered. At first, Boma was confused, ashamed even. He wondered if he was losing his mind, but the satisfaction was undeniable. The dreams filled a space in him that reality had left empty for years. Soon the pattern became clear. On nights when the dreams were strong, his mood was lighter the next day. On mornings after the woman visited, he felt energized, hopeful, less defeated by life. Reality had not changed, but he had. Sleep became precious. Boma began to rush through his days just to return to his mat at night. Fishing felt like a burden. Hunger felt temporary. All that mattered was reaching the place where he felt wanted. One evening, sitting with a few men by the river, Boma mentioned his dreams casually. He laughed it off at first, but their reactions were not laughter. They went quiet. One of them looked at him carefully and said, "My brother, be careful." Another added, almost in a whisper, "Good things don't come in a gold platter." The word fell between them like a stone in water. Spirit wife. Boma froze. The river behind him stirred softly, as if listening, and for the first time fear walked quietly beside his pleasure. After that evening by the river, Boma could not rest. The words followed him back to his plank house. They echoed in his mind as the water rocked the wooden legs beneath his home. Spirit wife. He had heard the term before. Everyone in the creeks had, but he never knew it was real. Boma did not sleep that night. The next day he asked carefully. Not everyone. Only people he trusted. Older men. Friends who had seen life. Each time the answers were the same, only the tone changed. "What you are enjoying is not ordinary," one man said. "Dreams that bring pleasure are not always harmless," another warned. "If she gives, she will also demand," an elderly fisherman told him. Fear settled in Boma's chest like cold water. But fear did not last long. When night came and the woman returned, the fear melted. She did not threaten him. She did not ask for anything. She did not speak of payment or sacrifice. She held him like someone who understood his pain. In her presence, Boma felt seen. When he woke, satisfaction wrapped around him like a blanket. He sat up slowly and asked himself a hard question. What exactly had this spirit done wrong? In real life, women mocked his poverty. They measured him by money he did not have. They demanded what he could not give. In his dreams, someone chose him freely, loved him without conditions, gave him joy without shame. "Is it a crime to be happy?" Boma whispered to the empty room. Gratitude replaced fear. He began to see the dreams differently. Not as danger, as mercy, a kindness sent to a man the world had rejected. He started thanking the unseen woman in his heart each morning, thanking her for choosing him when no one else did. Soon, gratitude grew into attachment. Then attachment turned into loyalty. "If no woman wants me in this world," Boma thought, "then I will stay with the one who wants me in the other." The idea formed quietly, but once it took shape, it refused to leave. Marriage, not in the way people understood it, but in his own way. If spirits could choose, then spirits could also accept vows. If humans paid bride price on land, why could he not pay bride price on water? The river had taken many things from Boma. Maybe it was time to give something back. And in doing so, claim his happiness. Boma did not tell anyone what he planned to do. Some thoughts, he believed, were too important to be spoken aloud. They could be spoiled by doubt or fear. So he carried his decision quietly, like a secret wrapped in his chest. He prepared carefully. From the little money he had saved, he bought a bottle of drink. He bought cola nuts, fresh and unbroken. He counted the exact amount used as bride price in his village. Not more, not less. He wanted to show respect, even if the bride was unseen. Before dawn, when the river was calm and the world still half asleep, Boma pushed his boat into the water. Mist hung low over the surface. The creeks were silent, as if holding their breath. He paddled until he reached the middle of the river. There, Boma stopped. His hands trembled, but his voice did not. "I don't know your name," he said softly, looking into the dark water. "But you know mine. You came to me when I had nothing. You gave me joy when the world rejected me." The river rippled gently. "I thank you," he continued. "You did not ask me for money. You did not shame me. You chose me." He picked up the drink and held it high. Then the cola nuts, then the money. "Today I come as a man," Boma said. "If you accept me, accept these. Let us be husband and wife. If no woman wants me in this world, I choose you in the next." One by one, he dropped them into the river. The drink disappeared with a soft splash. The cola nuts sank slowly. The money followed, vanishing into the dark water. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the river stirred. A cold wind brushed his face. The boat rocked slightly. Boma's heart pounded, but he did not run. He felt something like approval, like calm, like a presence wrapping around him. That night the dream was different. The woman came, brighter than before. She smiled, but her smile carried weight. When she touched him, the pleasure was deeper. When they joined, it felt sealed, complete, like a vow had been answered. When Boma woke, his body felt heavy, but his spirit felt lifted. Something had changed. The river knew him now, and it had accepted his offering. The change did not announce itself with thunder. It came quietly, the way deep water moves. The very next morning, Boma went fishing as usual. Same boat, same net, same tired hands. But when he pulled the net from the river, it was heavy. So heavy he almost lost his balance. Fish spilled into the boat, slapping against the wood, shining and alive. Boma stared in disbelief. He cast the net again, and again. Each time the same result. By noon, his boat was full. Buyers rushed toward him as soon as he docked. Money exchanged hands quickly. For the first time in his life, Boma returned home with full pockets and a light heart. That night, the woman came again. She was calm, confident. Her presence filled the room. When they made love, the pleasure was intense, almost overwhelming. Boma slept deeply afterward. The next day, the river rewarded him again. Soon a pattern formed. Whenever the dream was strong, the river was generous. When the night was sweet, the day was profitable. Boma did not question it. He did not complain. He simply accepted his fortune. Weeks turned into months. Boma bought better nets, a stronger boat. He repaired his leaking house. Hunger stopped visiting. Respect followed closely behind. People who once ignored him now greeted him loudly. They called him lucky, blessed. Boma smiled but said nothing. The dreams continued. The woman never asked for gifts, never demanded sacrifices. She only came at night, took him into her arms, and left him satisfied. Boma believed their marriage was only about love. He did not know it was also about provision. Soon his life outgrew the creeks. He left the plank house and built a solid bungalow in the main town. Cement walls, a proper roof, a place people admired. He dressed better, walked taller, laughed more. Wealth changes how people look at you. Boma learned this quickly. Where he once walked unnoticed, heads now turned. Where greetings were once cold, they became warm and eager. Women who had never spoken to him now laughed at his jokes. Some praised his hard work. Others admired his house, his clothes, his confidence. At first, Boma kept his distance. He reminded himself that he was already married. Even if the marriage existed only in dreams, the vows felt real to him. The river had accepted his bride price. The woman had accepted him. That should have been enough. Boma believed he could separate the night from the day. He believed the river only wanted his loyalty in dreams. He did not know that every gift comes with rules, and the river never forgets a vow. Slowly, temptation crept in. One woman stood out among the rest. She was kind, lively, and very human. She listened when Boma spoke. She touched his arm when she laughed. She admired his success without knowing where it came from. Boma told himself it was harmless. Just conversation, just company, just a reminder that he belonged in the human world too. Soon conversations became meetings. Meetings became closeness. Closeness became desire. Desire began to pull him away from the night. Something else began to change. When Boma slept, the dreams grew tense. The woman's presence felt heavier. Her silence lingered longer. Sometimes, when she reached for him, fear rushed through his chest. Instinctively, Boma shouted one word, "Jesus," and he woke up. At first, he laughed it off. He told himself it was nothing, just nerves, just imagination. But each time he screamed that name, the dreams ended abruptly. The woman vanished. Sleep became restless. The river noticed. His fishing began to slow. Not empty nets, but lighter ones. Boma ignored it. He blamed the season, the weather, anything but himself. His relationship with his physical lover grew closer. She wanted commitment, marriage, a future. Boma's heart leaned toward her. She was visible, tangible, safe. He began to forget the vows made on water. He forgot that loyalty does not belong only to the physical world, and somewhere beneath the river's surface, something shifted, something waited, something that had given freely, and was now being betrayed. Boma's nights became battles. Each time he closed his eyes, his spirit wife appeared, but not as before. Her touch no longer brought peace. Her silence pressed heavily on his chest. There was something unspoken between them, something wounded. When she reached for him, guilt rose like bile. Boma shouted again, louder this time, "Jesus!" He woke up sweating, his heart racing. The room felt cold, empty. At first, he felt relief. He told himself he was doing the right thing, that whatever followed him in dreams was not of God, that choosing a real woman was choosing safety. But relief did not last. The river began to change. Some mornings his nets came up almost empty. Other days the fish escaped as if guided by unseen hands. Buyers complained, profit dropped. Slowly at first, quietly, enough to be ignored. Boma ignored it. He poured more of himself into his physical relationship. He spent money freely. He promised marriage. He spoke of the future. Each promise felt like a nail driven deeper into a vow already broken. One night the dream returned differently. He stood beside the river, barefoot, dressed in torn clothes. Hunger carved his face. Beside him stood his human lover, also in rags, her eyes hollow with suffering. Across the water stood the woman from the night. She was calm, distant, watching them like one watches strangers. Boma woke up shaking. The same morning his human lover called him, frightened. She had seen the same dream. Word for word, fear finally broke through Boma's denial. Still, he refused to listen. Days later, while fishing alone, the water grew unnaturally still. The air thickened. Then she appeared in the river, standing where no one should stand. Beautiful, terrible, real. Boma screamed the name again. Jesus! She vanished. The boat rocked violently. That was the moment he should have stopped. That was the moment he should have remembered the river, the vows, the offerings. But pride is louder than fear. Boma convinced himself the dreams were warnings meant to push him toward God, not away from his plans. He decided to finish what he had started. He prepared for a wedding, a physical wedding. And with that decision, the final line was crossed. The signs did not stop. They multiplied. After the shared dream, Boma walked through his days with fear sitting quietly behind his eyes. He noticed things he had ignored before. The river no longer welcomed him. When he paddled out, the water felt cold, unfriendly. Sometimes his boat drifted without reason. Sometimes his net tore for no clear cause. At night, sleep avoided him. When it came, the dreams were heavy. No pleasure, no warmth, only distance. The woman no longer touched him. She stood far away, watching. Her eyes held no anger, only something worse. Disappointment. One night she finally spoke. "You were happy," she said calmly. "You were complete. Why did you look elsewhere?" Boma tried to speak, but his mouth would not open. He felt small, exposed, like a child caught in a lie. "You made vows," she continued. "You were not forced. You chose." He woke up gasping. The next morning, the fishing was worse than ever. Buyers shook their heads. Some walked away without waiting. Others accused him of cheating them before. Rumors spread quickly. The same mouths that praised him now whispered behind his back. Still, Boma pushed forward with his wedding plans. The physical lover noticed the change, his mood, his losses, his sudden fear of sleep. But love, when mixed with ambition, asks fewer questions. She encouraged him, told him things would be fine once they were married. That night the warning came again, this time clearer. Boma found himself standing by the river in the dream. The woman stood on the water's surface, untouched by ripples. Around her were the things he had thrown into the river long ago, the drink, the cola nuts, the money, untouched, preserved. "You cannot pretend this never happened," she said. Then she turned away. The river swallowed everything. Boma woke up crying. But mourning hardened his heart again. He told himself fear was weakness, that God would deliver him, that marrying a human woman would break whatever hold the dreams had on him. He did not understand one simple truth. You cannot escape a vow by pretending it was never real. The wedding date was fixed, and beneath the river patience ran out. The wedding day arrived under a bright sky. People gathered early, music played, laughter filled the air. Boma stood proudly in his fine clothes, smiling for pictures, shaking hands, receiving congratulations. To everyone watching, he was a success story, the poor fisherman who made it, the man who beat the odds. Only Boma knew how hollow the joy felt. As the ceremony began, his chest tightened. A strange unease crawled under his skin. He looked around, half expecting to see water where there should be ground, but there was nothing. Just people, just noise. He forced himself to relax. When the vows were spoken, his tongue hesitated. Just for a second. Long enough for fear to whisper his name. Then he spoke anyway, Loud, clear, final. Cheers erupted. That night, Boma did not sleep. When sleep finally dragged him under, the dream came immediately. He stood alone in the river, fully dressed in his wedding clothes. The water rose slowly around him, cold and heavy. His spirit wife appeared, not angry, not shouting, calm. "You have chosen," she said. He tried to scream. No sound came out. "I warned you," she continued. "Now you will learn." He woke up choking, sweat soaking his bed. From that day, everything fell apart. The river rejected him completely. Nets came back empty. Boats capsized without reason. Buyers avoided him. Debts grew. The respect he once enjoyed turned into mockery. His human wife noticed quickly. The money stopped flowing. The fine clothes disappeared. The big house felt cold and empty. Arguments replaced laughter. Love grew thin. One morning, Boma returned from the river to find the house quiet. Too quiet. His wife was gone. She had taken what little money remained. She did not leave a note. She did not look back. The same people who once praised Boma now whispered again. Some said his wealth was not clean. Others said the river had reclaimed what was hers. Boma sold his belongings one by one, the house, the boat, the nets, until nothing remained. He returned to the creeks like a defeated man. The plank house was still there, older now, weaker. The wood groaned under his weight as if it remembered him. The river flowed as it always had, indifferent, endless, unmoved by his suffering. He fished again. Every morning he pushed his boat into the water. Every evening he returned with almost nothing. Hunger became familiar once more. His body thinned. His eyes lost their shine. People passed him without greeting. Some pitied him, others avoided him. The dreams never returned. No woman, no pleasure, no comfort. Sleep brought only darkness. At night, Boma sat alone, listening to the water slap against the wood. He replayed every decision in his mind, the offerings, the vows, the warnings he ignored, the fear he silenced with pride. He tried to pray, but the words felt heavy. He tried to shout the name he once used to wake himself, but it no longer carried power. Silence answered him instead. The river did not punish him again. It had already taken everything. Boma grew old in his misery, tired, broken, forgotten. A man who once tasted wealth, love, and power, now reduced to survival and regret. In Sagbama, his story became a warning told in low voices, that not every gift is free, that not every love can be abandoned, and that vows made in secret still demand their price. By the river, Boma remained, wretched, miserable, and very, very tired. Not every door that opens brings blessing. Some open because something unseen has chosen you. Boma's tragedy was not poverty, it was gratitude without wisdom. He accepted comfort without asking its source. He made vows lightly, enjoyed the rewards, then broke them when a better option appeared. What he forgot was simple but dangerous. What is not accepted in the physical world is also not accepted in the spiritual world. Every gift has rules, every covenant has consequences, and betrayal does not go unnoticed, whether among humans or spirits. Boma was not punished for wanting love or success. He was punished for breaking a vow he willingly made. If you were Boma, would you have walked away from unseen wealth to choose a normal life? Or would you have respected a covenant you could not fully understand? And here's the deeper question. Have you ever accepted something that helped you without asking what it might later demand from you? If this story made you pause, reflect, or feel uneasy, don't ignore that feeling. Like this story, if it spoke to you, Share it with someone who believes free gifts always come without cost. Drop a comment. Was Boma a victim or the architect of his own downfall? And if you enjoy stories that carry wisdom, warning, and deep African truths, subscribe to Tales at Dusk. And remember to turn on notifications, because every dusk, another powerful tale waits to be told.